Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome to the 20th Duck Talk, and today we have a lot to talk about. And the big topic, of course, is the major update for aircraft that Gaijin announced a few days ago. And I, did not immediately make a video about it because I just wanted to collect some thoughts about those mentioned topics and changes. And I think overall I'm deeply impressed with what Gaijin has announced, and there are also some bad side about it. Now, this is not a bad criticism on Gaijin, please don't get me wrong, but we just have to think about certain aspects of certain changes. And while I think that the intention is very good, the execution is again a bit questionable, to say it polite. Okay, the first thing that I actually wanted to show you is here with the Canberra. It actually has a cockpit, like the L-28, like the 3 R2Y2s. And so those 5 bombers basically are, as far as I know, the only pure bombers that actually have a cockpit. There are some other planes that are missing the cockpits, namely bombers, but also planes, certain attackers like the Heinkel 219 or the BV238 and the H8K were actually very keen on having those cockpits implemented. The next topic, as you could see, is the option that we will hopefully see soon, when you can believe what Gaijin has announced. And the prime example is the B-57B with the rotary bomb base, that you actually can manually open the bomb base, which allows for more accurate drop. And that is really a very big improvement for certain planes like as I mentioned, the B-57B and also the Sunderland, for example, and numerous other bombers which have quite a delay between the bomb release order and the actual bomb release. But then we also have to talk about certain changes to the bomber gameplay that's announced, and certain upcoming content. And also the very big thought behind all this, why I'm actually making the video, is we get this all in this patch? In one patch? 3D cockpits for bombers, Japanese tanks, ship closed beta, numerous other changes. There is at least one aircraft that people saw in the dev blog, namely the Heinkel 100. It is more like speculation, but also kind of confirmed in this respect. And we get this all in one patch? That's a Christmas gift for sure. Now, jokes aside, okay, let's begin from the beginning. The 3D cockpits for all aircraft, and again, namely, they tell us about bombers, it comes a little bit as a surprise. Many people thought that we will never see bomber cockpits. When we think about all those Q&As with certain people, that are on top of the Gaijin food chain, so to speak, it was not really, we knew at some point, for example, that ships will come, but bomber cockpits, it was promised, soon TM, and now it seems to come all into the game. And I talked to a few people, and especially one of them that wants not to be mentioned in my videos, namely, has told me that it takes a lot of work to create a bomber cockpit. All the more surprising is that it is because they are rather huge. And when I think especially about cockpits, for example, on the BV238 and the H8K series, where actually, when you have the right angle or point of view, you actually can look very deep into the belly of the aircraft, and that has to be modeled as well, according to the new standards of Gaijin. Just saying. And so we didn't get one cockpit after the other. No, we get them all in one patch. Why now? Well, I will come back to this why now argument in a moment, because I have yeah, it's not really a theory, but it makes sense when you bring together all the arguments. And the problem about those 3D cockpits is that they're actually complete bombers. That is not a bad thing. That is a very good thing. But now many people have actually announced that they will fly bombers or certain aircraft that will get cockpits in simulator battles. First of all, that is a good thing that we probably will see more sim pilots, which is the third branch of War Thunder, so to speak, after arcade and realistic. And that actually will lead to another kind of bomber spam, but now from a completely different branch of people. So we will see how it works out. I'm actually very interesting how it will work out. So there is that. Um, then we will also get all the Japanese tanks, and to create a tank model and to do the research on such a tank model is not done in a few days. So they had actually to work on Japanese tanks for quite a while. And, they were also not really announced. Just saying. Likewise with cockpits, they couldn't probably get all the footage or all the historical facts and, the blueprint, so to speak, for the cockpits in one day. They had to work for it for quite a long time. The same goes for the ships. Ships were worked on probably for years, and we will get in the actual closed beta all 5 nations. This weekend, I'm recording this very late on Sunday, we had just the second test of the ships, and we saw now all 5 nations. With this second test, the Japanese ships also came into the game, at least one. But it's a pre-beta, so actually we will see more in the actual beta, of course. Another nice change will be that Gaijin said that they will switch off the arcade bombing aim reticle or circle for realistic ground strikers and bombers, and we still will have the actual bomb sight, but for dive bombers and actual attackers that also can carry bombs, it will be much more difficult to actually make it work. That seems like a drawback in air realistic, which is kind of true, but for combined arms this will be a very big improvement, and it makes a bit more it brings a bit more fairness to the gameplay, so to speak, as triple A's don't have a leading indicator in realistic. They have it in arcade, and I guess in arcade we will still see the bombing, aiming, circle, reticle, whatever you want to call it. But as I mentioned, it brings some fairness to air RB, and the absolute precision with which certain planes could deliver their payload was just frightening. And that's a good change. Again, as I mentioned with the footage in the beginning, the bomb bay opening is another improvement to bomber gameplay, and this makes actually the B-57B work for me, because it was so frustrating playing this plane, because you had to stay on target for a certain amount of time and actually have to aim at a point ahead or after the actual bombing reticle or the bomb sight, and even the bomb sight flipped, which was highly annoying. And the only thing you could actually bomb were the bombing points or the mini bases, whatever you want to call them. And while that is good, when you had to secure a match by destroying a ground target, and you had a limited blast radius, and then you threw off the bomb by several dozen meters, in a certain attack angle. It happened to me, and that's highly frustrating. And as well for the Sunderland, basically, this will look pretty cool, and I can already imagine a lot of cinematic work to be done with this. Like you see a fleet of bombers coming over the drop zone and opening manually their bomb doors, and then you have a few seconds of waiting, and then you release it. It will be glorious, like this attack run. So much skill. So, jokes aside, and as I mentioned, there seems to be at least also one new German fighter plane announced, the Heinkel 100. Many people say that it is a very beautiful aircraft. It will feature a kind of a unique armament, like three German light machine guns. So it will be low tier, of course. And numerous other bug fixes were announced, but they will actually be more precise or announced more precisely after the patch comes out, of course. And yeah, that was a pretty good attack run up until this point. Shame on me. And again, I have to say, this all together comes out in one patch. Now that begs the question: is this kind of bad timing? Is this working as intended? And why now? Now, Gaijin always said that they will bring out the ships actually after the game goes in full release, and now we have the closed beta for ships coming up in a few weeks, I guess. And I think about something like they make the beta now, then they will release the game like in with the new year, maybe, or like a few, or maybe in February, something like that, and then they release the ship out of the closed beta into the open beta, and that would make sense. And for the release, they actually want to bring in a lot of content. And that seems to be like now they are seeing the finishing line, and all the work has to be released, but they want to make it like one patch before the actual full release, I guess. And while this is a bit of speculating, I admit it, it makes all sense, also according to the numerous Q&As that I have in mind. It all makes a bit more sense right now. Now again, a lot of the stuff was requested, like the bomber cockpits utterly destroyed the realistic battles, so to simulate the battles. They also are a problem, the bombers themselves, for realistic, but that's a different topic. And Japanese tanks were also requested by a not insignificant portion of the War Thunder player base, I guess, and it will complete the fifth nation with tanks. And I guess completioning now and fixing seems to be the term, but at the moment it's still more focused on completioning, tech trees or certain stuff like that before they actually go to fixing. And that brings me also to a wish list, okay, like what Gaijin has to do in the future. In my opinion, I don't know if this is not a huge topic, but I think it's highly annoying lately that the control cables get snapped that easily. That makes like half of my deaths, which is highly annoying. Then also we need to rework the ammo racks on tanks. A lot of tanks such as the Leopard or the M60, they rely on hitting the ammo rack. And when the ammo rack is black but it doesn't go off, or let's say is still the ammunition inside of that ammo rack still counts as being accessible for the tank that got hit, that's very unrealistic. And this is all the more surprising as Gaijin went into numerous parts of the gameplay in into a lot of detail. And I missed this for a, let's say, crucial game mechanic. Now, lately it seems to be more reliable, but still it very often happens to me in certain crucial situations where I couldn't retreat and I had to make that killing blow with the ammunition, and it doesn't work, by the way, for all tanks nowadays, because, that is kind of the way for Gaijin. And also, the ammo racks goes also in conjunction with the APDS. Regardless of the ammo racks, the APDS on the Leopard and the M60 and also the Centurion Mark 10 is, in my opinion, highly unreliable. In complete contrast to, for example, the Chieftains APDS, or also the 20-pounder, for example, featured on the Centurion Mark III, or the Carnarvon, of which I made a tank review, by the way. And also we need to have a rework of the targets in RRB, for the objectives, probably a little bit, the point system, and I want to see this being reworked. And also we need absolutely new RRB maps. I know currently there is the focus on ships and new maps for ships, of course. Maybe as I hoped for, or as I hoped for higher tier ships, that we see more open maps, bigger maps for some long range shooting, which is also kind of the sweet taste for tank gameplay in War Thunder. I mean, I made kills up to 2 kilometers. That's really insane and really brings a smile on my face, and is the major selling points in comparison to other competitive or other games that try to compete with War Thunder in the tank segment, for example. So maybe we see this all coming up for a release schedule, and that's my long-winded way of really wondering why Gaijin never has really said that they working on it and admitted that it is a really big load of work for them and it needs just simply time. And they might have mentioned it 1 or 2 times on certain interviews, but that was not really accessible for the community. And the damage that this, let's say, in my opinion, false information policy brings with it is that the damage is already done. A lot of YouTubers with a lot of subscribers, they just turned their back on War Thunder to never come back, at least in their words, and which is a shame, because War Thunder has the potential to become one of the biggest and best games in the world. And what we see here in the beta phase, because remember, War Thunder is actually still an open beta game, is just fascinating. The holy trinity of tank, aircraft, and also naval warfare, it seems to be the selling point in the future. Furthermore, we will hopefully see the World War mode, where I have actually big hopes for, if you remember all my videos about enduring confrontations, which is a shame that it kind of isn't alive anymore. So I'm not quite sure what to think about this whole topic. On the other hand, I must say, maybe this is kind of a Christmas present for us. Who knows? That also brings me just simply to the portion of the video where I ask you for your opinions all about this topic. 3D cockpits for all aircrafts, namely bombers. And if you are a simulator pilot and you watch my channel, which is rather unlikely, as you know, I'm a realistic scrub and an arcade scrub, let me know what you think about this topic. I made one video where I went into an accidental simulation battle, so to speak, and I was in the Ju-88. I think I queued up for the wrong event, if I remember correctly. It's, I'm really interested if this will bring back life to the simulator battle community, so to speak, or if those pilots are interested in playing it more after this change, and if you see any bad sides on this again, and what we see on Japanese, or what we can see in terms of content for Japanese tanks, in terms of dev blocks, is really great. And I'm personally very interested in the ship section. This is my guilty pleasure, the naval warfare. I made already several videos. I come to grips more and more with it. I'm very interested about especially the different kind of ships that we will see. Remember, for aircraft we have basically fighters, heavy fighters, bombers, attackers, you know, all those different kind of planes. For tanks, we have tank destroyers, heavy tanks, light tanks, medium tanks, AAA vehicles, half tracks, you know, as well a big portion of different sorts of aircraft and tanks in this case. And so it really begs the question for me personally, uh, which kind of different ships we will see. Like it seems to be all the same, you know, some kind of gunboats or torpedo boats, and yeah, I mean, the Russians have some, let's say, to this point, heavy artillery support, but we will see. And I guess that's it for today. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please remember to give this video a like if you did, and to subscribe if you want to see more, and also to leave a comment in the comment section. And see you in the skies, on the battlefields, and on the waves of War Thunder.